This conference will now be recorded.
Every time we go like we fix it. Suze, can you hear us?
Tina, did you get all your homework done?
Wait, the third one got here.
Questions, but I had not. So yeah, but we'll be discussing. Ask questions. That's what we're here to do. Ask questions. What I do love my. You answer that one. That one. Yeah. But we're not conditional use permitted for on the agenda.
No, it's not.
No, that'll be next one. Okay, so that was one thing. Oh yeah, we're gonna have a bunch of those in the next meeting. So 3 weeks. 3 weeks, because we have 5 weeks. So you have some great. Yeah. Maybe you'll need to link to. However fast you can get done.
I never know, so I went to East Main Liquor on Sunday. Or liquor store time? State.
Stay.
Aren't they all state or no?
Question about that.
Cosmo's open.
Oh, yeah.
They're not all state.
Oh,
Oh,
interesting.
I didn't know that.
I didn't hear.
But you can, yeah, you can actually buy hard liquor here. Okay, technically speaking.
Right, you can buy them from the bar.
Yeah. Not from a bottle bar. Right, bottle bar is state, but are there some in Bozeman that are not state run? Yep. Is that right? Okay.
It's kind of a bar as well. Or,
It is. It is, but
So that's
definitely
probably
has
why.
a.
Yeah. Right.
Two different But she's a state. I think you have to ask her the total of that. That's like the day one.
I know.
We have to go to Whaley. Yeah. What happened here? Did you're tearing it up or what?
I'm tearing it up.
Wood on it instead of drywall.
Susie asked if the mic is on the judge's desk. You're not late.
I know. I was pushing it. I was pushing it.
You weren't in a meeting, were you?
Are you still open late? Are you
No, she hurt herself, so maybe next week. I don't know what's wrong with her. Yeah. Bar drama. Dislocated her kneecap and hasn't worked all week. Claims she's working tomorrow. Super excited.
Whoa, you're not late either. You're not late either. Oh my god.
I made
look at you.
Carol write a thing today.
I have important things to do.
I know I've heard and I'm working. She said she can't find the doctor's note or not the doctor's conversation. Like how Carol pressed something else and said, acknowledge her because she was hurt.
Maybe try turning on that microphone because that's the one that's on during court.
It's been a long week.
And then maybe,
I can get you this guy John from the virgin who works for you.
No! He moved out, he's gone. Crazy John. He used to live behind us. He used to have to deal with him a lot, right? Yep. Corey had to work for him. Corey had to work for him for a minute. He showed up one day in Corey's truck and I called John Moore right away and I was like, first of all, do you have a truck? Because I can tell what the hell.
I suppose that probably.
At one point he had an ankle bracelet and stuff, so I didn't think he had a driver's license. Because he wrecked that truck and abandoned it. I checked on you. Text Corey. No, like what? 2 weeks?
No, you mentioned I don't know. I don't know that we haven't proved that he had drivers.
I called John Moore for you.
Yeah. Well, we have to get him for insurance.
Well, if you could leave that door open, it locks when I. Oh, okay. No worries.
For her, she succeeded. I'm glad everybody's kind of late.
You're not late.
No, but usually I'm like 10 minutes early.
Coming in hot. Hey, could you see if there's anything in my box too? Please.
Randy's box too.
Okay, thank you.
You want to draw a line?
We'll get the blue tape out and just
I got Zins over there. You got 2 different flavors? Such love Zins.
Mixture green or peppermint.
Julie, don't shut it all the way, please. Thank you.
I didn't know you were back. I got back today. Welcome. And no tomorrow. Like, just a longer. I know they're nicotine, right?
Oh, nicotine. What do you want?
Keep it going.
I think we should see this go down.
We should have let her shake it. I know. You're really
Oh my god, no, don't even let me be ugly.
I bet you'll be alright. This is true. I bet you.
I love it. Yeah.
1 a.m. No, rain and 9.
Okay.
Hold it down.
No.
I think that's a great one.
I was the road.
Alright.
Oh, there we go.
Alright. Start playing on ordinance 149, repealing and everything like all tractors except for
busy.
Talk about it.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Well, kind of.
Because she mumbles, you can't hear her.
Okay. Susie, since you're the only one online, any comments on public hearing?
No, thank you.
Okay. Any no comment for public hearing for ordinance 149? We will close the public hearing. Now, is there a regular business meeting? Roll call. Tina. Here. Vicky. Here. Randy. Here. Here. And Corey.
Here.
All right, all members present. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, public comment on non-agenda items. Does that mean any comment on any item that is not on the agenda? Hi, I'm Lily. Yep.
It's one of the first of all, really apologize for not being here on the April 14th meeting, and the Lions Park was on the agenda for the dog park. I did my best to follow that, and it's a good park. I couldn't hear, I got different pieces. But I knew I wanted to be here to kind of answer questions or comments, and I wasn't here. So I just wanted to clarify for the different pieces that I did pick up. It sounded like you guys were not for it. And that it wasn't a priority. However, I wanted to clarify that this was not something that we were planning on doing at the expense of the town. Like the Lions have, that part up until the closure of the park this year, I don't think there's been much communication between the town and the Lions. As far as the people at park, we've kind of just taken care of it, built buildings, things up, done whatever we wanted to, and it's always going just fine. And then when the closure happened, it instigated some communication, which I thought was good, because that property, the Lions taking care of it, and I think that we should be on the same page with stuff, which is why I presented the thing to you guys for approval. It was not necessarily to ask permission, because my understanding is the Lions do what they want to do with that park anyway, but I wanted you guys to be aware of what we wanted to do and to be on the same page with us. And then the insurance thing came up, and I don't know if that was approved or not, so I don't know if that came up for the insurance. So, that being said, were there any questions about that? And I don't know, I mean, I think there was a question about the location that I found from the meeting 2 weeks ago. And there was an alternative location over by where the old, we call that batting cage, or not batting, is that what it is?
Batting cage.
Yeah, we were thinking of that as a secondary location. We weren't we weren't 100% sure of our location for the dog park, but behind the dog field, or behind the ball field for sure, kind of keep it away. It's the dog park as it is anyway. A lot of times people show up with their dogs off leash anyway. It's kind of a mess. We've always cleaned it up. Every year before the Easter egg hunt, we have a big food patrol situation that the Lions go out there and scoop the food. And
my experience from visiting hundreds of dog parks all over America is that when it's a confined space, more often than not, it's not the responsible dog park that does. The accessories that are needed because after the dog, they take the dog. So are there any questions?
On non-agenda items, the commission can not comment.
Okay. All right. I'm going to put it like.
What was the other one? Oh, hi, I'm Tanya. What was the other?
Well, they said no, but they're talking about maybe putting a little camp back there or something. If that be the case, I don't think the Lions would want to keep a sign up there or take care of the cost. But anyway, that's my public comment, and you guys can take it. I think that there's concerns with the town. That's a 2 week ago situation that I guess you can read from the minutes or. Anyway, that's all I got. Thank you for listening.
Any other comments on non-agenda
This public comment came from Larry Pine. He wanted to be at the meeting, but he had prior obligations, so he emailed it. Said, I understand in the past there have been situations where someone hooks up to water sewer and they are not paving the street after the fact or repairing it, and it is up to the town to pay for the paving. I would like to ask the council to consider a quick remedy to prevent this from happening again, either increase the bond or possibly stop issuing water meters to the homeowners or some other scenario in order to prevent this from happening in the future. Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Okay, public comment on the agenda is closed. Moving on to resolution 5712-2022, 2 mil emergency levy to repair streets by Jordan and Madison River in January of 2022.
I move to approve resolution 571-2022, a resolution of the town of Ennis to adopt
Corey has made the motion and Randy seconded to adopt resolution 571-2022. Public comment? One. All right. 3 times. All right, on the commission comment. Any comment? Question? How much are we getting? It's attached to your DEF. Yeah. That's what I ordered. Yeah, that's all that. I figured we'd clarify for anybody. They know.
So this Saturday, $28 an hour for every.
Once these funds are ready, we adopt this resolution, and once these funds are exhausted, I'm going very hard to required. Then the hours that are tracked. Match. As far as I can understand. I'm getting that process right. And then, according to everything else, there's separate funds. How to do it. Track it down. All right.
Most of the softball girls are. And I did with the people from the park. So how long have we?
call the Joe tomorrow, to see what the next stage is. Thank you, EES. All right, let's all vote. Dana? Aye. Aye. Unanimous vote of resolution 5712022, resolution passed. Now on to vote on first reading of ordinance 129.
Move to approve business license 149 and regulation. First reading.
Second. Motion was made by Mr. Mansell to approve first reading of ordinance 149, seconded by Randy. And you, so public comment or not? Gary Martin, do you have anything to say? Say it now.
So just to clarify, this was just to add medical marijuana into
No,
the. No, this is a different one. Okay.
Marijuana is completely.
This is
Okay.
change
This is
some
just
of
the
the wording.
updates. Okay.
Basically, this one just increases the fees for each business from $25 to $50. And it also includes Airbnbs and VRBOs.
Oh, that was that one. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I mean, it changed more than that, but
Yeah.
I feel like
We don't have
this is a-
upstairs, it was a complete revision of the entire business. That, yeah, had upstairs and, arcades and quite a few other things that no longer, that's what we're bringing in.
Yeah, I had to Google it. I had to Google it. It was like 2 years ago, but I had to Google it.
Like, yourself,
Julie?
your truck.
All right, Julie's got a question.
I have a question. So you guys, I guess it's been back in February-ish, you put out an assessment of not tax, whatever it is. Like business licenses for Airbnbs and the, vendors and the food and different something like that. The numbers, you came up with some guesstimate numbers. Did you guys ever clarify what your numbers?
Yeah.
Is that something that?
If it is gone into first reading, which we covered in the first section, it's been published in the paper.
Okay.
So it is, and it has been at town hall
Gotcha.
for the last at least 12 days.
Speaking of, one second.
Right, so 1, 2 calls on.
I have one more question regarding that because our association is concerned with the fact that they had already collected all the fees for this year. That's all.
No charge.
That's a not-for-profit, right?
Yeah.
That's right there, not-for-profit.
Okay.
Yeah, none of that changed for nonprofit.
Right. Last call for audience. Public. All right, 2 commission comments for vote on first reading. Any comments? No, all the way across. So I'm going to call the vote on first reading of ordinance 149, business license, repealing the sanctioning sound business license, Title III, all chapters except medical marijuana. Ready? Aye. Unanimous approval of first reading of ordinance one.
What about Tina?
Oh, I don't get to go back around.
But wait,
That little flag.
I was just thinking of something else I didn't know.
No, you're
If you're wearing a blue
no,
shirt,
you're good.
All right, on to discussion matters, which are three. To get through. All right. Still in business section, we have discussion of the last chapter, which is medical marijuana. So, currently we have one licensed establishment within city limits. Top shelf, right? Yeah,
I did homework. This is strictly medical, but at the same time, okay, so, I did homework, and in the beginning, I totally wanted to amend out of the county ordinance. But after talking to the county attorney, I realized even if we adopt out, their ordinance still is not a big enough. So they would still be in violation if we adopt out. So if somebody were to come next to the daycare or whatever, they would still be in violation if they didn't have to shut down. That being said, I gave up on that. Then I also asked about us putting on the ballot for us to get 3% on the one that exists. But then when I asked about that, I realized that the county is going to give the municipalities some of the tax money off of population, that kind of stuff. So I don't know, and I don't know, another question that came up was, would we be able to put it on the November general election, or would we have to wait till we have municipality vote? So next year, when seats are up. So that was another question that came up, that whether or not we can put it on the general this year. I think we should leave it as, or we do it. But I also think that we have to update our ordinance for recreational and medical to get them. Because their grandfather did with the council.
So if we adopted the county ordinance, top shelf would be grandfathered in.
And I think we update our, implement ours, or do whatever we have to do with ours, so it's recreational and medical, so that we can. That's and the resolution from the county on the tax money they're gonna get back is not done yet. So I couldn't get numbers or percentage or anything yet. They're working on that.
No idea.
No idea. And it's based off population projection. So that should be done in the next few days. I don't know how much time it should be done in the next few days. Their resolution is going to say how much they get back.
They're basing their numbers off of first quarter.
And then population of the town.
Yeah. First quarter sales tracking.
And they are putting it on the ballot for November to tax. Because it has to go through the ballot to tax it. So it is going to be on the November ballot to tax. Get their money.
So I guess the finishing portion to the county attorney is the same business that is licensed is currently with the Department of Revenue trying to reduce their license down. The Department of Revenue has not defined jurisdictional area, especially when concerned with an overlap. So we have asked the Greenbaum and I think yes, to ask for the state attorney general through the Department of Revenue to define jurisdictional area. And that has been almost 2 weeks, and there has not been any response from the Department of Revenue. So that license is in hold there because there is no real ruling on jurisdictional area. So while that might be the county attorney's opinion as to how this goes, we are looking to the state.
I did tell them as a town, and Attorney General might not be so primed into recover swamp, but from the Department of Revenue, we listed our questions and concerns and asked if they could present to the Attorney General, so that this wasn't a continuing problem for all other little municipalities spending money on their lawyers to get better.
There is some areas where technically another weed shop could go into, kind of over by the that area, maybe, or pretty much sure how it's going. But there is other areas, so I think that we have to update ours.
Commissioner North Forty, speaking here, can't hear something.
Yeah, so there was a map at some point, I don't know where, I can't find it. I'll even email it, Brett, but there was a map that showed where possible.
Who has the map?
It was in my thread somewhere, we just sent it to me last year or something. Like the underground house, that was like an area, there was a couple areas.
Right, but your North 40 comment, that's, it is a subdivision, but it does have commercial distinguishment properties, which could be right. I'm sure that's I don't know.
It's going to be very iffy if you're still saying that the county has jurisdiction.
Well, and that's what, and I'm so glad I called it because it made sense after he talked about it, and then you have, even if you amend out, it still has jurisdiction, so you're still violating there. So,
Right, I think one important factor, we have our own police department here in town. We do have more ability to police this than they should. Oak Hill, for example, they currently have one store which is located, I would say, pretty much the exact same area, town lines, kind of in the early downtown area, right in the center of Sheridan. I talked with Ginger Gallagher. We don't have any issues on that. You know, all our issues are on the east side, which is going in. Yeah, they haven't really had any, I guess, concerns with that business. But that being said, I think this store here in town can't consume cannabis. But I think one thing to consider is, you know, light on sidewalks.
Justin said as long as there's no production there. Very
So I guess my question is actually would be, what would be the problem with adopting that? And then if you had changes to it, you could amend it.
So
It would
replace ours.
It would clarify jurisdiction. Added it.
I don't know. You could go more strict, you could go less, but I don't know how you go less if there's more. So I'm okay with adopting it. I just think if we adopt it, does that make us right on the business license stuff too? But I just think
Yeah, they're very well, the top shelf.
so if we adopt that, and they,
No, not that they were denied. There were questions that they Department of Revenue and Kelly with yeah, wanted us to essentially tell them whether or not we allow business license for medical or for recreational marijuana. We had to send that over. I just said ordinance because it's based in there. So we did that and haven't heard anything then.
Well, the county.
And they either way would not be allowed where they were because they were not grandfathered.
So, like, I had a question on that. So, I also read the same thing that Christy did, and I think I mentioned it last time when we were talking about going city versus county on the 3%, because only one could get it. And I know the county does definitely sort of, whatever it would be, like, decide the allotments, you know, like it is based on population, right, like Christy said, but they do, you know, like certain allotments go towards, like, drug rehabilitation, like they can kind of decide, like, what certain allotments to go to. The only thing I would wonder there is if we had any input as sort of one of the larger cities in the valley, population-wise, you know, on like, hey, we get this for infrastructure, or we get this, you know, for, I don't know if that would help. That was one thing I was thinking when I was reading over all this. And then the second thing was going back to like county and stuff, on the county stuff, the overlapping kind of makes me think a lot of the zoning, you know, like county has its zoning, and in town we push hard and forward, and you guys in the previous council did a really good job of like looking at zoning. But Ennis obviously I feel like has different, you know, prerequisites, I guess for lack of a better word, in regards to like where these shops and stuff would go. For instance, like you look at the county, there's a lot of reason the extraction labs, grow ups and stuff are setting up, you know, outside because per the county's regulations, those are actually like okay. But I never saw the map that you were talking about, but like if there are locations in town where, you know, a new shop could go in if it was permitted in North 40, subdivision versus commercial, et cetera, my mind goes, just hearing you guys talking, goes to like, okay, well, should we have something that's more Ennis specific, or at least some sort of, like Christy was saying, you know, overarching type Ennis sort of addendum in there.
Well, that's what I liked about ours, is it
Yeah.
said 3, it gave quota, it did stuff, that's why I wanted to bend out and keep with ours, but.
Is it just more trouble than it's worth, or what's the, going with county versus staying with what we have?
They're still gonna oversee ours.
Okay.
So we still, like, if we bend it out, they're still in violation of the county ordinance, so they're not going to open.
But counties, if I read it correctly, it more of just does the stuff that's like not within like 500 yards or whatever with school.
250 feet.
250 feet.
Ours is 500 yards from school.
Okay, so that's what.
So that's why we had more area. Theirs is 250 feet from libraries, parks, all this stuff that ours wasn't. So we had more area that you could put one. That's why I wanted out of it. I was like, oh, you're limited us to never have more. But after talking to Justin, what does it matter? Because theirs is still going to oversee ours, and they're still going to be non-compliant. So we could maybe amend theirs a little to have the quota of 3, so that we don't have 20. But I don't think there's room. I don't know. I wish I could find that out.
Room for.
With their increased restrictions, there's no way to do that.
I don't think so either. That's why I don't think it matters.
So we're just saying when we said our, for our city, that they can't have a shop within 500 feet of the county says, or 500 yards, the county says 250 feet of the shop, and say, I can put the shop here because the county regulations says 250 feet.
And that's not clarification, this is exactly why, like, none of us had this answer, and this is why we contacted the state for jurisdictional definition, because it is absolutely 100%
Like he said, 250
not
feet from
clear.
a park, you could look at the park and have a shop. Like he's trying to say that they didn't make it so strict that we can't have one, and I was like, oh, it's on that.
So my thought, just if you need that clarification on the jurisdiction, maybe we take the answer until you have that answer part.
We're not making an answer today.
We're not, okay, yeah, that makes a difference. If you guys want something 500 yards from school and we can go, no, I can do it 250 feet. Or if the county says, no, if it's greater in that respect, you go with the greater that honors the city.
So yeah, back to just talking with the clerk and Sheridan, she was like, yeah, we're really not concerned that we haven't had any solid issues with it. Then moving on to the treasurer's office. And those guys have one city block that has 3 stores on it. She's like, it has 6 on that block.
And I think it's something like we let the county do a year and then like circle back around. If we don't get that much tax money, we're also gonna kind of know their revenue. I don't think we're gonna totally know their revenue, but we're gonna kind of have an idea of their revenue. And if it's beneficial for us to do 3% tax on that shop instead of the county. Does that make sense? Like maybe next year? I don't know. I don't know how much one shop sells. I don't know how much the county's obviously making way more than one shop. So they first it.
Then you can make that determination.
So I think that's something you circle back in a year and look at whether or not what they keep their own.
The only other question about the sheriff thing is I don't know what the distribution of the population is, but it might have to go down. I mean, a lot of the stores are shut down. There is no industry, so I can't imagine that they would be worried about shop. Because the goods would be there, everybody, you know what I mean? Versus here, you have like the town, and I know, I'm sure there's school somewhere there. I just was in that town the other day. Like Saturday, but here, you know, you have your downtown and your school, and the kids are out. You know, we have so many, we do have a local population. We have a little more concerned about we have a bunch of shops.
All right. I guess the important thing in my mind is section 12 of the county. So this, if we adopted it, it would streamline this whole process. I guess we could wait for the state to make their determination. But if you read section 12 that has already passed second reading, the fact that a commercial marijuana premises has been approved by a zoning board or other municipal government entity shall not be a defense to any alleged violation of the ordinance.
And I disagree with that, and I know why.
Well, public comment was, public hearing, there's a process. So, where do you go from here? I know that somebody's going to be applying for a business license in July, probably, when we renew, and we don't have an answer.
Well, the answer right now is that he can only sell medical.
Yeah.
He's not selling for
But if we adopt it, it would be recreational. Yeah. And I don't think there's any reason to update ours or change ours because it doesn't make sense. They're higher than ours. What those people have to deal with.
Right, so we would have to go through the same ordinance process to adopt.
Do we want to change to a limit of 3? Just in. Super cool, huh? But can't we just postpone their quickly? Or give them a month or 2 grace period?
There's a link after August 1st. So you have to
We
pay an
have through
extra
July,
fee essentially.
so. So like,
Oh, I hope it's three. All right, so.
County work, just understand, county work, just reflect. Adopting it.
Is there any you want to add it?
Limitation.
We can look, I'll get that map, I'll put that square. Yeah. One of those. I don't think there's that serious. I remember that.
I think it's definitely reasonable to cap it because we're all unfamiliar territory. Making parallels with alcohol. And how it works.
The previous decision. And that won't be that hard to add.
Alright. Question. So would the county ordinance be within business license? Or does that not make sense? Would it marijuana be its own?
I have to update.
You know what I mean? Because does it make sense for the county ordinance to be within business license, or do when that leaves business license, you just change it to say?
Probably have to do both. We'll adopt the ordinance as medical and recreational.
So for that number 12 or whatever, if you give Top Shelf permission to issue them a business license, according to number 12, the county will supersede that, and it would be denied.
They are already
grandfathered
into the county's ordinance as well, because they were in operation within the correct period and everything else.
Okay.
Ever, just like.
Okay.
Where, what, do we have to do both? I would imagine that. All right. Moving on to discussion regarding planning regulation and parking restrictions in view of Martin versus Boise municipal responsibility to provide overnight cooking for homeless persons where no homeless shelters are available. I researched this. I'm wondering if we do this if we're not inviting it. And I know you're trying to be proactive, and I get that, and I get that John heard it Helena, but I also think it's a big city thing, and I think if we do it, we're inviting, and it scares me a lot.
Overwhelmed resources in the past, and not to mention environmental disasters on our river.
Okay.
Okay. I guess discussion. Public comment first.
I'd like to understand that.
Okay, I will explain. The Ninth Circuit Court decided in its ruling that you cannot in any shape, way criminalize homelessness.
And when Boise did not provide an area for an overnight sleeping area and tried to put in punishment for sleeping in the street
Or your car,
or in your car or anywhere else, they were then sued and lost suit for over $1 million. Salt Lake City just lost their suit as well. And that was fixed with over $6 million, as far as I've understood from that reading.
So they lost Los Angeles, but John's Los Angeles.
So then what happens is, I'm sure within the homeless community, they're communicating about this and figure out which things these are making more money. So my question to you is this: what are we proposing then? It sounds like you were trying to develop a safeguard against this, which you were doing. I get it, you know, you said something and also, but I get also that we have to protect our community.
I'm sorry, I don't know you.
I'm Tanya.
What's your?
My name is Tanya. My last name is Kival.
If I can kind of expand on that too, because I read about it a lot this week too, and I was kind of surprised at just a lot of the verbiage in it. Like, for instance, the fact that they're citing that it's, Eighth Amendment violations, cruel and unusual punishment, things like that. When you go back and look at especially the Boise case, not even Jonesburg's LA, their homeless shelters, they allow the homeless people to stay 17 consecutive nights, and they have all these other provisions. Other cities do the same thing to try to kind of like circumvent this thing without, treading on civil liberties or anything. And I guess my thing before we get into the discussion of like what ifs and things like that would be if we are going to follow, because we are under the jurisdiction of the Ninth Circuit Court. No one's denying that. We're just ruling with Montana as a state in the Ninth Circuit. So if we go from that, how do we? I think personally, my thoughts would be that the discussion should sort of go the way of thinking how we can circumvent and sort of control this, such as like, for instance, Lions Park has a no overnight parking sign, but say if we opened it up where we want to be in compliance with this due to the other rulings that I've read, then do we say like which other cities have done? Say like no, parking during the daytime, only at night. No, so and so. Do we put like limits? Like I said, instead of 17 days, do we put a limit where it says no setting up basically your homeless camp where you're going to be there for 2 months straight, or live the whole summer there. Have we looked at basically provisions and talked with Greenbaum about provisions to stay in compliance with this, but also to make it, to try to deter from it? I guess that would be my question on that.
Michael, I agree with what you're saying. What would be considered compliance with the law? What kind of accommodations do we need to provide? We can provide a small building with 2 beds. It only has 2 beds, so everybody else that's not in that shelter can't camp around everywhere they want. So you can't do that. So yeah, so is there a per capita?
It says it in there.
Quantity of beds available or area?
If the number of homeless, exceed the number of beds available, then technically this provision is supposed to be in place for any jurisdiction in the Ninth Circuit. So we could build 200 beds tomorrow and have 201 homeless people come through, and technically we still have to comply to it. Because I thought that same route when I just read it.
So as far as the Lions Park, for instance, I just went through the whole gorge thing, still going through it. It'd be kind of dangerous to say, hey, you can go over there and spend the night. Because it would only be like seasonal then. So what if a homeless person is here in December or January? Oh, you can't go in the park because it's gorge. Where else can I go? So I think there's 2 classifications of homeless. There are truly homeless, and then there are trans. There are people that just want to roam around and live on the street. There are people that maybe in our community that their landlord sold their house. I think maybe it should be looked at as 2 different classifications. Transients, they communicate. I saw it happen in cities like Monterey, Santa Cruz. All of a sudden, these beautiful cities were overrun. I don't know if it's a matter of if we have some town ordinances, these are the hours, this is where you can be. Yeah, I think that's gonna have to be the approach.
I want to comment again, is there some tool you can use rather than, criminalizing homelessness, but vagrancy, not having any identification, anything like that? Because this is going to be a bigger problem, because as you see, all the rents are going up in the country, people can't buy a house, now they can't afford to rent a house. So if they find out this beautiful place in Ennis, Montana, they'll be glad to come here. Go to the food bank and, just live in that, and people don't mind doing that. Some people have to do that. So we do need to meet it head on, for sure.
All right, this shouldn't turn out.
Julie's and then,
First of all, I don't think we should be compared with what's going on in the year or anything like that. As far as $1 million lawsuits. And a pretty extended amount of time that I've spent now, several decades, twice I've seen what could be considered couples. And they both had cars. Well, actually, no. First one had a car, and they hung out and spent the night here in front of the Veterans Memorial.
Yeah.
Last year, we had a homeless guy come through that did not have a car, connected with the church. The church contacted the Lions Club. We got him an apartment. We furnished him an apartment. We took really good care of this guy for like 2 days, and then, he was kind of just milking everybody, and we got kicked out of the apartment. I spent a lot of time in this town, and I don't live in town proper, and I just don't see it. I can see, like Tanya said about rejecting like Oprah, but I don't see where it's like big.
okay. Now, any public comment from online?
Can you guys hear us online? Susie said that she could hear us.
Can you type a message to them or, chat to them all and ask them if they hear, do they have any comment?
One of the
We don't know.
listeners says she could hear fine.
So it's just like
Still a public comment. Any other public comment from those online? No comment from online? Any other comment? All right, public comment from
John, enforce it, like he can enforce it a little bit.
enforce what?
Sorry, I was on mute.
See, that's why I asked that.
So,
Tony?
yeah, this is, the only thing I want to just add, where we protect the business storefront. So if homeless are around, they're not lingering in front of the fronts. We already have that issue now with a certain individual that hangs out in town.
You're cutting out really bad, Tony.
So are you guys. Christy has my copy.
There's one guy already that they hangs out in front of the pharmacy with $1 post all day. He lives in Stein.
Yeah, he's a resident.
Yeah.
He's on my shop too, Tony.
I did do it.
Okay.
That's the example, but that's the example.
We can't hear you. All right.
My 2 cents, real quick.
Do you want me to, so that's the example of what we need to put in. Do you want me to put on speaker so we can
reactive to every mess that has been created over time that town did not anticipate. We didn't think we were going to have this larger growth, so therefore we didn't have the water plan, we didn't have the sewer plan, we didn't have. So it would be nice to be ahead of something for one time. Maybe that's me getting at this frustration point. And when you control a situation and truly control it, you have a better advantage being ahead of the ball than being reactive to it. So if you designated an area, had enough sanitation to take care of things, it says sleeping area. Sleeping requirements for human beings are 8 hours. That would make it a 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. and you are out. You are under surveillance 24/7 with night cameras. If you limit resources, people cannot stay. A business owner has every right to ask that somebody be removed from their property. So with all of those things in mind, if you can actually control a situation ahead of time rather than being reactive to it later, it doesn't mean that you put out like a water lawn with everything else. It says a designated sleeping area. It does not put stipulations that it has to be kept at 85 degrees and all these other things. It's your one area.
In your mind, and in that not in the center of town, not by the golf course, not at the fishing.
It has to be municipality owned. I gotcha. Where?
Does it complicate things with that side also?
All right, so that's what I know. There have been recommendations that it has to be somewhere that the city owns. And if you look at a map in the hallway, there's very little. Everybody thinks the thing town owns a whole lot of stuff. We don't. We don't own
So
very
the
much.
other question I asked, because we were talking about spot the line, but what about that?
I don't know.
That would be considered cruel and unusual by the night.
Where's the police station?
I don't think.
We don't have one.
I don't think so.
In this building.
I don't think that line is the correct place because just like dogs and kids don't think they're gonna be pedophilia and that doesn't. There, yeah, I mean, I'll say it now. I like the surveillance idea, but I don't think that. Could we partner with the church? Fishing access, reserve nights of fishing access.
I think that the church is a great idea.
I guess.
Let's
keep in your mind.
Thinking, finish. There's just so much more that goes into it, like the. Putting something in place, is there a town ordinance that is anything under? And if we were to do it, we can find other towns which we want to stay aside, right? What if somebody, if we could possibly team up with a church, maybe somebody could donate on a porta potty or something that have right? Water.
I think it doesn't require it, but
Yeah. Right. And make it a maximum house.
I don't think you can, the way that that's stated, the process of the way the law is control that kind of stuff.
all right.
Would you not be able to team up with the church?
And then say we technically have a shelter in place that we're getting at.
Yeah, I'm
The only two places that I can think of, if you talk about the mask down by line, and the only other one I was thinking of is would you own that little space outside golf course back road?
Where the well is.
Yep. Corey, lots, you got
So, back to Sheridan, I guess, speaking with Ginger over there, she's like, she's got a couple of those people pop in and out. I completely understand and trying to get ahead of the wall in the business that in this direction. Saying we do groups communicate with one another. They're like, oh, check out this then. They realize that this is. Ultimately, we look at twin bridges having like a cyclist. We are on cyclist route for people touring in through here. Twin Bridges actually has a place where you can actually camp. Bike tours do bring commerce into town. We are in a tourist town. Sheridan said, they pretty much that place kind of self-regulates. We're definitely with our seasonal aspect. We're probably gonna have some individuals popping into town as.
But are cyclists considered homeless?
No, I'm thinking of it from a business standpoint. Though, if you have to provide camping, a place for homeless people, you do have to provide toilet. Yeah. But don't we have to provide that as well?
Yes, no, some of them don't. I don't think in Missoula where they've given those acres outside of town, I don't think they have a work on it. So it's I can't find it out.
I thought there was a cap of 5 days camping or staying there, and then you have to get off the camp for 10 minutes.
Where you camp at?
Right back down. I thought John Moore said.
No, I think it's cars. He can move a car. Like if they purchase the cars, they can and they can move the car after so many days.
In the right of way.
Yeah.
Like this part for 5 days.
And they can move it this much.
Yeah, they can
and
move
they're
it
fine.
and then they're not.
So
Car considered homeless, you on a vehicle or something.
It's still part of this, is like, so some of them are in cars, and some of that's part of it, yeah. Just some cars, some have RVs.
People in town coming there for a baseball game, kids want to go. I can't find it. There's all kinds of things wrong with it. But the town lease space from a church or something for $1 or whatever to say this is our own space. But to turn it into a town type, instead of going just behind it. Lease this just for you.
Yeah.
Something get creative. The park is just like I think everybody agrees the park is the worst possible place.
Yes.
It's like having a bad guest at your house all the time that you got to look at it. Every time you got a farmer's market, everything that happens there, it's like they are.
Technically, they should only be there.
No, but the
the other point that you made about needles and things like that, if you bring this in and you can't regulate all of the trash and the pollution and potential health hazards.
If you cannot criminalize homelessness.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if people are shooting up and dropping needles.
Is that illegal in the state of Montana?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. That's what I'm saying. And if you have 24 surveillance, that's what it is.
Okay, so here's what I'm
You
saying.
can tell for
I understand that. Let me just finish my thought. I understand the frustration level, but if somebody stumbles on a needle that was dropped by accident and it's got hepatitis on it, you're talking about the risk of disease. So I agree with not putting it in parks and having it in a controlled area. If you're going to have it, I also agree with you that you have to think of, you can't manage trash, the types of trash that you're going to get, and you're going to clean that up. You're going to make sure that stuff is clean.
All right, commissioners.
There's also more local articles for 2 minutes trying to have their attorney is focusing on can't be running.
Great.
I think we can split the church. See if that's potential. I don't think we have to break it. I know exactly the situation you were talking about last year in the state on the shop. I tried to help the guy. It was a turn.
Is there any way, I don't know, this is like a joke, kind of almost, like, but for the most part, we kind of know our community and we know who's homeless first. Is there any way that we could purchase a vehicle and getting them to Bozeman where Bozeman is next up? Move them along.
And transportation to a facility that actually is set up.
Free ride.
All right, everybody.
Bozeman has a
Yes.
So, I'm not against like adopting something like this because it does give John something to work on. Do you know what I mean? Nothing in this says we're setting up an area, nothing says that we're doing anything. Yes, at some point we might have to provide an area if we figure something out during the meantime. But even right now, if we have one this summer or 2 this summer, you're all right there. Is that all on camera already? Is that all already done? Does it have to be? Can we put a privacy fence up there? I don't think we have to do anything. Just tell us. And it's already on camera.
View. I mean,
Yeah.
the more privacy you get, the more it's like,
It's not like being fair to the people that live here, but it's also, I don't think it's gonna be a huge problem.
but John asked me one last year.
They want people to move.
Yeah.
Or not.
That is that. So, commission for the next one, I guess, we can do churches and we can ask about if it's appropriate for leasing, that's a requirement. I don't think we want to purchasing land for this.
Can we see if that is feasible or what John thinks about that? We can talk about that.
Did you have a real good? Did you say
Well, I think it's right.
John asked 81 people, 81 homeless?
No, that included like vehicles parked in the right of way that were there for 5 days. So, and he had to ask that was moved over.
Not strictly from land.
No, just within his jurisdiction, 81 that were camped in the right way or whatever.
Okay.
One more. We need that.
And one person.
Who wants to call church?
I moved on, we can put it on. That's all right, but YouTube video, I will church asking, and I will contact Rick on.
Would it have to be a space in the town when you do that you lease? It couldn't be like anywhere outside at all.
How much space is back there?
And the reality is that they're going to put it there.
Sorry,
Alright. Closing that, retreat. So, we were looking at something one time, I then found out that, there is a specifically asked request that writes this, so I asked them to, based on our permitting in our system, right? So as you look through it, it's very familiar to when especially when you get into the first lot of it. I can't read it.
Yeah, literally you can't do it. You do this too.
Okay, Eric. Since this is your area of oversight.
Looked it over. I don't know why I'm here. I just said. What is this in regards to?
Okay, so as part of our DEQ permit for our lagoon, they have requirements for chemical composition, solid, help me out, there's like a whole bunch of stuff that they require from us. Total spent solid.
All metal, everything. And because we discharge to the river, they're more strict. And our population has grown to a point where I have to start charging the system very well. And we have a lot of stuff wanting to come in water, and a lot of stuff that didn't come in now.
Pre-treat primarily is for industrial. That is, so if you produce like bad ones are meat packing plants, if you don't have requirements on it, they can change your system by putting the solids in and their organic materials. Any kind of chip treatment, wood treatment, they have to pre-cool, not so cool, our lagoon chemicals. Our needs are very bad for your system. If they don't have a pre-treat where they have to hold their stuff before they put it into our system, it can be very bad. Car wash systems that have got the legal regulation on the kind of soap that they use because phosphate comes up our system. And basically, this is creating a happy DEQ. And I like a happy DEQ because I like public water that works. I don't love outhouses. So protecting your lagoon. And then any kind of distilleries, breweries, trying to think what else. But all of those things, you're basically trying to get them to take their waste and match it to what an average house. They have to do some things, some filtration, whatever, to get it so that they're producing about the same as everybody else. So that the rest of us aren't paying for upgrades in the system that aren't really our thing.
And you're recommending a higher penalty that if they violate it, then so that discourage.
So in there, there's a recommendation of fines for, and I just recommend setting that high.
This is 7,500 per day for violation.
Yeah.
Per day. How do you enforce
Set it
that?
high.
Yeah.
To discourage.
He catches.
I can.
You can track, trace it down.
I can tell you exactly what
time of day to go with it, what manhole. I can trace it. I've been around enough. Yeah. And I am also, and I know this is kind of tough. So town about that. How do we because that's a huge problem. Some parts is already in. We can't trace those as an issue, trace this stuff.
Well, with the, I can't remember. Are we here?
I spoke with the guy. He seemed really nice.
With business that then really brewery, right? So how much would it cost for somebody like Cameron Warner to put in a free drink?
I don't know. You know, but I don't know. It's really common. But
So would it be reasonable to give, not like 30 days after we pass this, you have to be fit? So a reasonable time frame, so that in their financial budget, they have the ability to plan over time to meet requirements.
Typically, you can't say no grandfathering if you give sufficient time for the first time. It's written like that in law, like sufficient time.
I definitely don't want to the next day go, you're not, that's not my goal or anything like that.
Within a year.
I feel like common is minimum 180 days. Which is 6 months.
What does making a, what is it entail? Machine and chemical.
Yeah, that's, I guess, what I was asking the guy said, how much, I guess, is it a tank that holds, so they have to bury a tank that holds theirs and treats it, and then it goes on?
is that what this? They go about doing it? Brewing-wise in this town.
Yeah, because to bury a tank that.
But I am totally willing to work with.
So, in addition to this point, you want yourself, well, grandfather, and it's not reasonable to ask somebody to come up with $5 billion to fix something within the next 6 months, you know what I mean?
Right. So I guess we kind of got to figure out the price of this.
What are they built? What are they? You know, as far as car washes,
The updated ones are all on that anyway, right? The newer ones. Yeah.
they don't have to. You know,
I think most of the newer ones are recycling their water, so they have to pre-treat it.
right?
But if you didn't have it.
If we didn't have the street treatment, they could do whatever they want.
Like,
we're coming to a point with population and all that where either we do this or we do that.
So the question about cost impact utility of these different businesses, if they don't incorporate, let's say, a pre-treat system, could they hire a company that comes, just like when you do your pump your septic tank? Are there companies that come in?
already hooked up with water.
Oh, so they can't, like, their waste, they can't, instead of going down to the sewer or whatever, there's not a way to.
Oh, like dump
process.
dump.
Yeah, like, they come in, they just go railroad has to put in a 3-tank system. In the interim, could they have somebody come dispose of stuff? Is that an interim possibility?
Very hard, you have to separate out the total.
But that's just an example. Are there companies that do some stuff like this? That there's a cheaper way for these get one impacted businesses?
Yeah, most of the subject people have drain fields, they go dump in, like Southwest Subject dumps on their own property.
And I know the main guy.
Of doing that business?
I mean, realistically, we're gonna have to look at we don't, we can't. So our biggest hurdle at this point is that while that wastewater query that we approved to be done, this meets like our current DEQ requirements and what they're predicting. But remember when Colette came in, she said the EPA and the DEQ are increasing their standards. It's not
We're
gonna
only
be.
on the back burner because of the small town.
Yeah.
Sort of grandfather issue.
So we're working off of this target.
But this will help us with.
I've
They will
heard
not
it's gonna be really strict.
Let's assume we're.
And you have to remember that we're building into the planet. You know, that's huge.
Yeah.
We need to be responsible about our system.
It's something we need to start.
So we start first.
Eric, the laundromat, hooked up down to that property. So soaps mainly is phosphorus. But our system can handle that kind of stuff. A lot of stuff is phosphorus, ammonia, all of that with car wash. Breweries are really bad.
And again, like, it's, I'm gonna like, remember the master plan that we're gonna talk about next month? Christian Terrell identified this as a whole, this was something that was in your last wastewater. When I did this 10 years ago, Great West said, you really need to get this done, and that was 10 years ago. DEQ in our intermitting 10 years ago, was like, you need to get this done. So I think if we continue to ignore this, it is really not going to end well.
If we do a workshop, we can here to have to be very at a later in May. So like the workshop we do, or work session we do in May.
Does anybody have any knowledge of what the water and or cost is for $500,000? Water has gone away. Car wash has gone away, which would be fine if we're saving the river and the lake from algae and all that, but I'm sure someone else already tackled this. A lot. A lot. That's yeah. It actually surprised me how many did understand.
I don't know if Lindsay would know what people have. I don't know if you call them municipalities, they would know what somebody had to pay that.
It's gonna be so dependent from location. to
Yeah, and
location. So,
It could be as
it
simple
would
as.
be,
This is
yeah,
this is their public development, like a park, this is like a, hey, mom, I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
Like we do it face to face.
and the air to the competition.
deter or to actually use that money if we had to fix something, it would be, it's not a scope to ask.
As a business owner, I would think that 7,500 per day. Per day.
It was 500.
No,
No,
7,500 per day is going to be more than an incentive for me to do things.
If we adopt this, or if we start
Is
doing
that what
meetings, do we have to put a time frame on the
Very much. Will you ask him that and then ask him if it's in this or if it's just publicly noticed how long? And ask him timeframe what he thinks too. And maybe I could try reaching out to Linda again, let you know somebody up there and ask what they did when they implemented it, if they did a timeframe. Because we keep going on to what that is. How long ago did they implement? Do you want me to yours? Okay.
No.
I can also have the
Even
red
the
lunch
lowest
contact
one
them.
would be a lot, but again, we're running close on urban population wise. Pretty good so far.
And I wonder if this spring we don't do an ad in the Madison about the sump pumps and how that affects the school food and try to put it out there, put it on the website, and read a board and sump pumps are a problem, and try to blast that, do like a 2-week or 3-week blast of sump pumps.
Like the educational.
And what, I guess that would be the best thing is, like, all of this, most of our violations thus far have come from almost, it's like we have people, everybody comes back and so they're flushing all their systems. It's kind of my best guess, because it usually happens June, end of May, June, or whatever.
Runoff.
Part of it's spring runoff, but I think a lot of it, people come back and we're cleaning our house, we're opening it up, and we're getting all the sand and whatever you don't want. And so we turn on all the water, it messes up our 28-day cycle. And children has like happy 28 days and how much you can do, it's like the little ecosystem, it really is like its own weird ecosystem, like more about than I ever wanted to know.
Me too.
And I didn't even have to go to the parade up there.
Me too.
But, again, education.
If we don't grandfather in, I mean, get rid of the grandfather. You know, I have a huge amount of resources to help.
That's
Huge amount of resources. Oh, hey, talk to this guy. I know the right people and will, yeah. Never say no, it's not working.
And Eric's been in contact with
Some of them know that.
but as part of this education, like you're talking about, which is a great idea, communicating what the problem is. Hey, did you know that when you do some pumps, or hey, when you come back and you return to your house and this affects this, and then also putting in the information about, hey, these are possible alternative solutions you could do. You could install a free treatment, or you could reach out to Eric, right? And he can guide you on ways, how are your chemical, whatever ratios, and blah, 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 blah. Or if you're looking for a solution, talk to him. These are great things because you're giving people alternatives when they don't know what to do and they can realize, you're educating.
I had a lot of people.
All of that.
Well, I was Sean. At that conference, I had a lot of people talk to him, extensively about this creature. Of course, they all wanted to help out, but that was the main thing. now you're up to par.
So you let the grandfather and everybody in, and then you can't meet your permit requirement.
Right.
But now that you said you have 4 years to come up with a completely different system. And where does a population of 900 come up with money for $30 million?
And I'll throw this out there too, where you're gonna cut it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna put them in capital plan, right?
So, all right, so I will check with Fremont on the grandfathering and timeline and how to portion that in, and then make the schedule.
Did you read through the dirt though, and you, and so
It's really hard.
I didn't read, I can't.
If you want, you can holler, stop by, and I'll kind of read it, you know. I can tell you what I've learned in the last year.
Okay, I guess it's regular.
Me and Corey want to go to
Oh,
I
got one too, kind of.
Yeah, that's how it feels trust me. Can we publicly notice that we're all gonna go to the zoo together? I guess.
You guys
On a
should
sunny day,
bring
you
people
can
field trip there. You should do the whole field trip.
I have been talking about it for years, and I had someone tell you I would go, and I never went, and now I'm like, I Corey, we should.
Like, check out
Really
the law.
unimpressive.
No, you should,
You
like,
love to look, let's go.
the tech is, some of it's tools that are well speed, constant live data to Eric's phone and his office. So if there's ever any kind of glitch, his phone makes an angry noise, like immediately, and all these alarms go off. I'm like, wow, like stress 24/7 is your phone really going well. Thank you for your job.
Yeah, and thank you for all your hard work this summer and the work and.
Like the guys that work with you.
They're good.
Sure.
Are
Yeah.
going to go. Without them, I wouldn't be here right now.
Curiosity, has anybody taken a tour of the little one? I know that you have. I know that I have.
No, I said we need to.
I'm like, and mine wasn't, I just happened to like be down there and one of the maintenance guys was down there. And I was like, you know what, and it was when I was back on the council when I asked. And he went there and he showed it all to me and it was, I'm just sitting there going, this is the first one, this is the first tank. And then it goes to the second tank and it goes through another process and the third one and this is the algae and
And they go to Bozeman and see theirs.
Who?
Bozeman system is actually amazing, and then they did a huge upgrade that was supposed to last 10 years, and it's been last.
They're already tearing apart what they got built last year.
Yeah, because of the population. Yeah. Yep. All right, so I guess any other people quick. Okay. Okay. We have to do anything else that we need to schedule for? She went like this.
Oh, the delinquent fees and stuff, like water bills, yeah, and we're going to measure things.
We, Brittany asked, we gotta do what Brittany wants. We looked at a resolution for, and ran numbers for bulk water, thank you. So, have that commissioner, you can make you guys read. I ran numbers. Out Gary. And then. Terrifying.
Yeah, and I like how, Rockwood increases
There's set increases.
2%.
Oh.
And then
We still need to.
But we're
raise-
still behind.
We still need to raise ours. That rural water had to come and do something, and that's still, that's 2 years later, and rural water's never come, and we've never increased water.
So there's two different, there's the state system. And I don't remember. I heard that.
Do you want to be eligible for grants or do you want to be,
Yeah.
with two different?
So if we want to be eligible for grants, we have to go to the state system and then
do water rates according to that, and then you still got eligibility for grant. 80%. That means we have to go door to door.
What do you make?
Yeah. Again, public education, you maybe say like, this gives us an accurate picture of where we're really at. Otherwise, we're going off of Madison County, and please remember that the people in Big Sky might make a little bit more than you do as part of your income. So I'm just throwing that out. If you'd like to share your income on this non-identical form that we get from Montana Rural Water, you might have a better water rate than if we have to go to the state program that has their numbers based off of.
And we could probably do calculations to be like, this is how much it's gonna cost you if you don't provide your income. We think the average is, 35,000, but the county says 55, so it's gonna cost you an extra few $100.
And then the count residents or the county?
So people on the water.
And then you said late fees, the resolution.
And like, I think on our mindset, like, we can be. A hydrant fee.
That's the question.
Yeah, well,
It would be like a per 1,000 gallons. We don't have
a flat rate plus.
Yeah, you can. Most people do, most towns do a flat rate plus X amount per 1,000 gallons.
Like,
I thought we were supposed to be.
and then, so Susie talked to me today. Additional use permits have to be noted. They won't make it in time for that. So I really recommend the following week, a little bit meeting. So, November, the regular meeting is about. How long is the notice?
10 days. And it's only 9.
It's like, the 19th, for you, well, it will be a public meeting for the public hearing. And then we start calling the new regular session. So that would be my best plan so that they understand that we're getting to it, but I don't want it. I think with any kind of zoning plan, you have not short the public notice. Yeah, and there's, I emailed, so currently there will be 2 women applications, how would and Susie is doing the pivot, so you have staff report, so you read. To go with that. The 40/50 is, her company, so she has asked for it to do the staff report on that. Okay. And then support that you might have. Alright, anything else for do we need to look at what Larry Simon was talking about?
We have looked at it. Yes, we have. What happened?
There's the solution there.
I thought that was like.
What is the solution? Yeah, so the pricing, so.
Perfect.
I thought we turned it on the zoning permit, or on the sheet on the zoning permit.
Or
$500.
I know, but we talked about doing higher, and we talked about doing.
I even have it printed
No, for you. Just kidding there.
Here, would you like these three bonds or not? Amount raised or ordinance written?
I would like it written to state, tear it apart, fix it to its original state.
For the time frame.
With the time frame.
So basically,
Yeah, really not looking to raise the bond, I'm looking to force them to fix it.
I think we raised it too.
But if you don't
You,
raise,
there's nothing you can fix for $500. Not one of those problems you can fix.
what's your average repair?
Right now.
Like 20, 30,000.
Eric, is it possible to find that
or what, we looked at those
It's
things
your-
and we looked, I mean, this has been gone over multiple times.
look all over?
And
Them out.
if you, just like the fee for free tree, if you don't make it painful,
They're not
they're not gonna, you know.
Yeah,
I don't think
know
that's 10 enough.
Is that enough?
kind of got taken out of the park.
That doesn't enough?
Everything's crazy.
I don't know if 10's enough. If we have to fix it ourselves.
And the other portion is that, Eric also, the contract that you signed for OT to drill at our well site, that allows us to set your requirements for liability, your requirements for the, your requirement for everything.
Choose nothing.
Okay.
We're going with that. No,
Yeah,
I don't think it's
right.
enough. I don't think it's enough because you can't realistically fix it.
What do you want?
well,
So if the bond is $25,000, that costs them what? It doesn't cost them $25,000.
What it should be. I think
Yeah,
it's
right,
3%.
so,
And then they can fix it.
Can you, like, guesstimate off the top of your head, fix, like she said, fix, you don't do a, column. Okay, roughly 30. That's what I think.
but that's what it's called.
And then if it's 10,000, I mean, and then it's only 10%, then 3,000, you can add on.
I think they're gonna do it to get their money back, or otherwise we're getting money. I think that we have to set it ridiculously high. So I'll finish. And I think if we ever do another subdivision, we put this stuff in the middle, like we did on the second, phase 6 and North 40. They're not cutting the street.
I don't think our bond.
Yeah.
I
You know, what's the other one is, out the,
Yeah, even if
cut your street out.
yeah, even if you fix it.
Right.
It died.
I'm still here. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
But no, we don't.
So I thought we already talked about this, and that's why we were doing the encroachment permit.
Right. I'll take road trip. It's an area for us to, right,
I thought it was the second sheet.
to bring back. Spot first.
Yeah.
I can't hear him.
Yell.
Talk louder.
On the encroachment permit, there was a spot to write in, right? Write in, fix the road. Correct.
Yes, and then they would be held.
So I think.
John has some tea.
Like you would give it.
This is really frustrating to try to talk on this. Sorry.
So she's saying that on the encroachment permit, permit.
There's the
That would allow Sean
right.
to.
You know, we can ride down there, because you have to restore this to its full, original.
Yeah, but you shouldn't have to write that every time, it should just be on there.
It should be on there, right?
Yeah.
With a fee, if that got put on there, you guys should.
I thought it was the second sheet though with a correction permit that was just street on. I thought that all of it was on.
And you could do, just kind of added that. Where we can control them having to fix this,
And maybe having both places, that would kind of hurt, raise the street on there.
That we have,
And it is a $10,000.
No, 500.
500. Which means people are like, yeah, I'm
You
gonna
get a
fix it.
fix the road
Yeah.
every year.
But a lot of them aren't done in a lot of properties.
Again, if we just tackle this and get it done.
It's going to be one of those things
Yeah.
that
Like,
stays
in
in
the
the
future, people
I
will
know-
see, they
I
will
know we
think
were
that
good.
10 years from
I
now
think
and
we
go,
were good.
oh, thank God they did this, so then I don't have to do it. So maybe that should just get that done.
Put it on the legacy.
Yeah.
So for you, at the next meeting, this May 12th, cold water, late fees for water, sewer. What about site permit fees?
Oh, yeah.
I have that on my thing. I don't know what we're gonna do.
No, oh, building.
Are we typically not for for the work session?
No, public hearing. And then we started after.
Yeah.
Hearing, we started. If there's no public hearing, technically we're supposed to start.
Would 6:30 be more appropriate for you when you're in there? Okay, yeah, I don't see any problem with that. Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
That is not the end of the world.
Should we have to publicly notice that?
No,
I'll
that's
be sure
only,
it really
that's
high.
only if you have an early time for hearing. Otherwise, we're gonna just have, if we got hearing. All of you have been like, hey, nobody's got anything, but some public hearings are. We've not had that joy yet. Okay.
And then we're looking at a work session.
It will be a real meeting, because we will have to. And you want to start 16, because there will be additional use for those in public hearing. Yes, that's correct, yes. I mean, we got two, and we know of it, right? Yeah.
I did announce it today, like, yeah, we don't have to insert.
That's what I was like, I don't go much.
No, but I did reach out today, like, I need time. Yeah. She's working on it, she said maybe we talk tonight, I think she's saying next week, we should be able to.
Yeah, okay. But, and they're not sure that they're pretty, that should be ready.
I would like to print. Yeah.
Okay.
But let me know.
Okay, and then our email for presentation. That, right? Because they look very serious, and we've got the master plan in there. Mark, would that be okay if we put you on the agenda in June?
Oh, you can't email like the same week of the meeting that you expect to go, right?
Well, it's for public notice, I mean, like,
Public notice, so it's usually like.
even if we're at the
Friday,
park,
no,
yeah.
We started at 6 o'clock.
You would just public comment on agenda item for the next meeting.
May 12th, is that okay with you?
I'm one of these people. I could have said it all by the time.
I'll just put it on me, and if you're here, you're here, and if not, at least our base is covered. Yep. Thank you. Put it on me.
I won't be here.
You won't be here the week after either? You'll be on the May 12th agenda.
He said he won't be here, so don't.
The next one is what, May 19th?
You won't be here then either.
No, they said he didn't know if it was gonna be here, so maybe it should be the 19th and if he agreed.
That's what I'll do. May.
I wrote about it down all the comments. They really would. I'm fine. There are jump drives, almost part of information. I didn't know too much.
There's technology, thing in that world. Thanks, Mark. Thank you. Alright. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Well, so we're out.
Did you reply to the?
Oh, yeah. You did? At some point, I don't know, how we officially do the responsibility, because I know that I am here for a good portion of Monday, and I mean like long. And I have before the end of June to prepare a budget for you guys. Remember that our budget goes end of June. That is fun. I'm saying that, like, emailing on this, on some matters, things like that. It's just not something that town has the financial capabilities or responsibility. Yeah. And I can dig, and I will dig through, like, I actually wrote one resolution. Yay, for me, for my, writing my first resolution. Normally, ladies in the back of the office write up all of our stuff. And what makes it, what doesn't, is priorities and focusing. And that's the reality of, we have to be ready for budget. We have to pick the stuff that's gonna bite us fast and pick the stuff that's draining us slow and take it off one chunk at a time.
Are you guys all going to the training?
What?
On Tuesday.
It was your
noticed that? I hadn't even thought of that, but they're training.
What did they bring out?
Actually, I probably will accept ours.
We're attending staff, we're attending training, that's blah, blah, blah. You're posting a pickup day and local training.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Church, that's your stuff, we'll communicate, and I will talk to you a little bit to see what we should say and how.
Yeah.
We'll come up with a game plan on what to say to them. Okay, so then I'll just make this. Yeah. I will let you know.
What are your expectations for the retreat?
I am on that one, that's my ballpark. Everybody love that reading.
I'm also gonna get them out. And then,
Yeah. So great, checking those three wells, and then again, most of these people that have affected territory. Even if you want to do.
You know what I should do now? I can make it through the house tomorrow.
And we'll plan for the communication with the Smithsonian or how we're going to do it about the retreat.
That's, I think, what they're just make it with that. I've gotten it. All right. Not much of all money and money. Spending. I'm not a shopper, so it always makes me nervous. All right. That's why I think I have budget anxiety. Maybe next year won't be so bad, but I'm like, it's not my money. How am I supposed to budget? It's not my money. But it'll be okay.
Can we help?
Department heads do their
Budget,
budget. Ginger does most of the budget.
Oh,
Ginger's amazing.
sorry. I did, so as our wine club money is not a lot, and we're at 132% of our current fuel budget for March, with 2 months left. But there was a line for additional project.
I know you keep telling us we have anything to get them in.
So, with the commission, like, to put the money for the cover repairs, you have 2 months left, and there's $600 there. Yeah. We're not gonna do it, so, put that on the main.
So, I pay that invoice for the training next week and then you reimburse me there. You paid it, I wasn't sure.
You guys are all paid.
Okay, and then room, no budget. For room.
There's some travel money.
Okay.
But I did not make reservations.
No, I can just do it and use a card and then reimburse later. Because I probably will stay one. I have somebody stay from Joey, so I don't have to go back and forth every day.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Alright, that's all fine.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you.
Wait.
Second.
Oh my gosh, we seriously. Legacy. Alright. Adjourn. That was the first time.
Bye.
Brandy finally did.
I got her.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you for doing
Roll call.
Just got that. Been here for 4 hours.
Oh, my.
Like 14 on it, right?
And then I
That's the.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I'll do go to the.
Anybody else want to do the or the cash? I don't know, I came in and, yeah.
Good class.
Yeah. I thought, you know, I remember your name, but I knew who you were, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I couldn't help it. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I wanted to do that, but if you just come to me.
This one?
Mark,
That one?
going?
This one goes.
That one goes back there. Hop along.
Okay. State, how much is state? Yeah, yeah.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. Try to do everything else the other way. Weekend. Yes, you can.
Yeah, they're on town water room.
Yeah. So they can pay that.
Yeah.
I would love to get a chair.
Did you?
Yeah, which is the cheapest rate around. You hear her, and I'm the only way we can do substantial
I'm not gonna do much.
raise
I kind of bought it for my wedding night, so,
pretty difficult.
I am so good at it. Thank you. 4 years. I have one at Potosi. I have one at Potosi, one at Owens Ranch in Torrance.
Oh, yeah.
I have White Ranch. Not this year. I think they're kind of done though. I have one at the one at Mike and Eileen Walsh Ranch.
Oh, yeah, that's
And-
kind of new.
Yeah. And then I know it doesn't.
I saw it. Yes.
You don't have a USB?
Yeah.
Just rolling.
I don't even have a computer.
Or you put them over there.
I have this.
I'll put in meetings.
My office.
Saturday,
My office.